Do 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 dun 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 dun. Astrology is now. Yahoo to all of my beautiful brothers and sisters out there. Welcome to episode 11 of the Astrology is Now podcast. Certainly appreciate you all joining me and certainly appreciate your patience. It is Thursday, December 5th, 2019, and I know I'm a little late to the party. I don't really know what's going on with me. I gotta whip myself into shape. I have to become my own coach because, man, when it comes to discipline, Jupiter and Capricorn gonna cheat you. We also, of course, have Saturn here, Pluto here, Venus here, the South Node here, and we also have this. We also have asteroid Ceres here. This is a very interesting and unique time. A very interesting and unique time. I was looking into the transits, and I'm like, you know what? This energy does feel fresh and new because I felt like this is something that we haven't experienced for a long, long time, and I had to do a little bit of dumpster diving and try and figure out when was the last time we experienced an energy like this. And I couldn't find it. I felt like I had to keep going back and back and back and back. 2019 is almost over. We're heading into the 2020 portal. We're heading into this Pluto-Saturn conjunction in Capricorn, which we haven't had for a long time. We haven't had this energy since the 1700s or so? Sometime in that decade, sometime in that century. So it's been a while. And you've lived several, perhaps many, many lifetimes since then. I think when we think about incarnation and lifetimes, we think that we are constantly incarnating into say that you lived during the 1500s, right? And then you incarnated again at the end of the 1500s. I feel like people think that you have to incarnate in the next century, and then the next century, and then the next century, but it doesn't really work that way. Your most recent lifetime could have been in the 2300s. And then before that, you could have been in the 1000s. And then before that, you could have been in the 2000s. Where we are right now. And then before that, we hop all over the place because time doesn't really exist outside of this space and location, outside of this dimension. So you can incarnate and hop into whatever timeline that you want, which is crazy. And it's almost like who we are here are just characters for development. You know how you play a video game, right? And you become that character. But you know how multiple people can play that same video game and become that character? A good example will be a fighting game. Say you have a fighting game that has 20 different characters, right? And maybe when you first boot up that game, you play as a certain character. And then you switch characters. Let's find a video game. Let's use Super Smash Brothers because I feel like that's a game that a good amount of people know, and the characters are iconic. Maybe you start off using Mario a lot, then you go to Donkey Kong, then you go to Link or Pikachu, right? Maybe you go back to Mario, or you go to Luigi. But other people can play those characters too, which is strange because this does lend to this whole notion that we're all really connected. Because that means that another spirit could have jumped into my current incarnation as Jamal Kwasi Wayne Pope. My spirit isn't the only spirit that has experienced this incarnation. This would explain time hopping, because otherwise we would just keep incarnating into future timelines. but you can go back and forth. Which means that I am you and you are me. That at some point you are going to experience what it's like to be me, and you're going to be on this side of recording this podcast. That's kind of a crazy notion to think about, but that's why there are so many alternate timelines. That's why there are an infinite number of expressions of the year 2019, because there are so many spirits that can incarnate different characters and beings within this video game. That's the way that I see it, though. That's the way that I feel. It's kind of crazy actually thinking about it, because I'm sitting here like I feel like I've been procrastinating and stuff, and then of course the moment that I start recording this podcast, I'm getting my lunar return. The moon is back in Pisces. By the time I finish this, it'll be at 28 degrees, which is where my moon is. And of course, Mercury happens to be on my sun. Pretty much exact, down to the solar minute. I think it's off by like maybe a minute or two. Maybe. It's really fucking close. It's really fucking close. So, that lets me know that this podcast is about to be lit. And you're not going to want to miss this one. But back to what I was talking about earlier with the astrology. We haven't experienced energy like this. I had to really go back and figure out. I was like, okay, I know that Pluto has it has over a 200-year cycle. Saturn, of course, is a 29-year cycle. So to get these to sync up in the sign of Capricorn, you have to kind of just dig and dig and dig. Of course, we have Venus here and we have Jupiter here. So I'm sitting here like, when was the last time these 4 planets were here? I couldn't find it. I mean, I probably would have to research a little bit more to figure out when exactly that was. But the closest I got to it, beloved, the closest I got to it was in the year 1519. That was the closest I got. Pluto was in Capricorn at 7 degrees. Saturn was in Capricorn at 20 degrees. Venus was in Capricorn at 26 degrees. This is the closest I got to it. I probably could have researched a little bit more before coming on to here, but this was the closest I got. Jupiter was at 12 degrees of Scorpio. So, and if you look at where Saturn is, it's in the last decan of Scorpio. So by the time that Jupiter would have reached Capricorn, Saturn would have already gone into Aquarius, retrograded back into Capricorn, and would have stayed in Aquarius. That's the closest I got to it, guys. I think what's interesting looking at this particular chart that I have is that Mercury happens to be on my ascendant. I have this chart literally for December 5th, 1519. So, but this was like the closest I got to this energy, which means that we are experiencing something that we have not experienced in a very, 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 very long time. We're talking ancient energies. We're talking energies that we haven't experienced in quite some time, beloved. I think what's interesting about this, though, is that Uranus was also in Taurus at the time, where it is today. Uranus was at 13 degrees Taurus, December 5th, 1519. The North Node was there. Pallas Athena and Ceres was there. I think it's interesting. There's some correlations here. Another thing about that chart, the chart that I pulled up, is that Mars was conjunct the galactic center at 20 degrees. This was back when the galactic center was at 20 degrees, guys. You know what else is also at 20 degrees? The asteroid Nemesis. What does asteroid Nemesis mean? Well, there's a reason why it has the name Nemesis. It is usually when we are scapegoating and we're making someone an enemy when they're really not. Okay? So, and with it being at 20 degrees, of course, 20 is in numerology related to the Cancer vibe, the Cancerian vibe, as I like to call it. Cancur, not Cancer. The moon. And this is talking about, with it being in Sagittarius, this is talking about, how we feel about our beliefs. How we feel about our beliefs. Mars was at 20 degrees, 4 solar minutes, Sagittarius. The galactic center was at 20 degrees 8 solar minutes, and Nemesis was at 20 degrees 59 solar minutes. So essentially back then, we were really taking actions on our beliefs through the vehicle of our emotions. Now, of course, this can have positive or negative effects, but considering the fact that Nemesis was at the absolute last degree of the 20 degrees, that's the other thing too. You have to think about that. It's like each degree has minutes, so it's like as above so below. We have days, and then we have degrees, and then we have degrees within the degree. It's kind of interesting. But Nemesis was at the tail end of the 20th degree of Sagittarius, and Nemesis is a rather slow moving asteroid too, which means that we had to, when it comes to this action, when it comes to this time, as far as what we're remembering, the last time, like I said, we experienced this sort of energy with Pluto, Saturn, and Venus in Capricorn, respectively, we were dealing with this time where we were restructuring our beliefs, but it was coming through the vehicle via our emotions. But this is a time where we would make enemies out of other individuals, other faiths, other paths, other journeys, other religions, other spiritual walks, other ways of being, not realizing that with that galactic center point there, that this was all destined anyways. And as I said, Jupiter at that time was in Scorpio at 12 degrees, almost directly opposing the Uranus and Taurus at 13 degrees. We're going deep here, guys. We're going deep. So I want to break this energy down for you guys. Because today, Jupiter is in Capricorn at 0 degrees. If you have an astrology program, or if you want to do some history diving, whatever like that, tell me the last time, and I'm going to keep looking after this. Tell me the last time where we had Pluto, Saturn, Venus, and Jupiter in Capricorn at the same damn time. Tell me the last time that this happened. Tell me. Because it's probably going to take you a while to find it. Although I'm pretty determined to find it. But damn, 1519. That was 500 years ago, beloved. 500 years ago. We can go back 3 to 4 generations and no one was alive during that time. 6, 7, because of course, with the progressions in medical science and shit like that, people are living a lot longer than back then. The life expectancy right now is a lot greater than it was back then. Although I'm sure there were still centenarians back then. They probably had some really deep, in-depth knowledge. But it's crazy when you look at this stuff and you see the rarity of the times that we're in. I'm not saying that we've never experienced a time like this before. We most certainly have. I just haven't found it yet. Intuitively, I know it. But intuitively, I also know that this is a rare fucking time. At the current moment, we have Jupiter at 0 degrees Capricorn, Venus 11 degrees, Saturn 18, Pluto 21. Back then, Venus was ahead. Venus was leading the charge in Capricorn, then Saturn, then Pluto. Jupiter wasn't even in Capricorn at that time, although it was lagging behind as far as that goes. But of course, at that time, you can pretty much flip the positions because, Pluto was ahead of all the signs. And Saturn still finds itself in the middle. It's kind of interesting how Saturn still finds itself in the middle of all this. So when it comes to as far as like our responsibilities, we find ourselves caught between what is it that we truly value and how we progress our lives and how we really see the future, and this sort of destruction and creative potentiality with Pluto. Saturn finds itself sandwiched between these energies again. Right? Or at least as far as the particular chart that I have pulled up. I'm sure I can adjust the dates to where Venus is actually behind Saturn. But I just was picking a random day based off of calculations of when Pluto could have possibly been in Capricorn and having it sync up with Saturn being there as well. So it's like, you know, very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. It's kind of crazy when you really think about it, because we are at the precipice, really, of this age of Aquarius, where I really do believe that the age of Aquarius probably began back in 2012, but this first, 7, 8 years or so of the age of Aquarius was really the downloading. It was the downloading of this age of Aquarius. You know how like you get like an update on your phone? This is a funny thing. The updates are made available before, but we have to download this stuff. You ever like, and if you're born in the early 90s or, before that, you understand this energy, where how you would download something on your computer and you get those like little green bars that keep going across the screen, and it takes forever to download. Now download speeds are a lot faster. But damn it used to take a long time to download something. It really did. I guess sometimes it does now too, depending upon the size of the file. But the Age of Aquarius was made available in 2012. We've been downloading the information of the Age of Aquarius since then. And since it's Aquarius, and since it's so much information and it's information dense, fixed air, it has taken till now to kind of just begin to understand what the fuck this download even is. We're not even really going to and here's the thing though, we're going to start to play with like the beta version of this download when Saturn goes into Aquarius. It's going to completely come out when Pluto reaches there. So you gotta think about this. Let's just play with some stuff, right? Let's just play with some stuff. Let's go ahead and play with some stuff, all right? So Saturn will enter into Aquarius next year, of course. Yeah, I'm getting my Saturn return. Woohoo! Let's see. Saturn will enter Aquarius officially for the first time without retrograding back into Capricorn, because it's going to retrograde back into Capricorn. Looks like it's going to be December 16th, 2020 is when Saturn enters into Aquarius. Oh, look, Jupiter's there as well. It's at 29 degrees as well. Hey, look, the moon is there too. No coincidence there. But it's going to be on that day, going into the 17th, where Saturn officially enters into Aquarius. This is when we begin to do the beta testing of the Age of Aquarius. The moon's going to be there too, so we're going to be reacting and responding to this new information, right? North node will be in Gemini, south node will be in Sagittarius. So there's even going to be a lot of this energy as far as like playing with these new belief systems and everything. South node is Sagittarius. South node, of course, brings up past life stuff. Remember how I said in 1519, all the energies that were in Sagittarius at 20 degrees? South node's going to be on that spot. South node's going to be on that spot where Mars was, where the galactic center was, and asteroid Nemesis. If I'm going too fast, let me know. But I'm going to keep going because your spirit already knows this energy. But I promise I will, flesh it out and explain it. I'm just saying though, it's crazy when you think about it, that the moment that Saturn enters into Aquarius, the south node will be at 19 degrees. in about 55, 56 solar minutes of Sagittarius, which means that it's right at that point where Mars was, where the galactic center was, and where Nemesis was. In the early 1500s, the last time that Pluto, Saturn, and Venus were in Capricorn. These things matter, guys. These things matter. So the beta version of this age of Aquarius is really going to launch pretty much a year from now. So we have this whole next year. This is why next year is so important, because it is a portal. It is a bridge into the age of Aquarius where we're going to be beta testing it. We're going to be beta testing it. This is why it's so intense. This is why this year is so intense with all the Capricornian energy, because it's interesting how we move from the age of Pisces to Aquarius, but then we have all these energies in Capricorn to prepare us for Aquarius. So it's like time is moving. It really is like how we live life forward and backwards at the same time. So these energies are in many ways kind of converging onto this Aquarian vibe. So this whole year, we're going to be experiencing this Capricornian energy. We're kicking it off with major eclipses. We're kicking it off with a major conjunction. And then, of course, Jupiter is here as well, which is only going to expand upon this area of life. But look at what it's going to end up conjuncting. Especially when it goes over Pluto. My God. Like, holy shit. But let's play with this, right? Let's play with this, because like I said, we're going to be testing the beta version of this. And Saturn is, let's see, let me just finagle with this thing real quick, because I want to see when Saturn retrogrades exactly. Let's see. When's Pluto retrograde? Where's the Saturn retrograde happen? Okay, whoa. Does Saturn retrograde that far back? I wonder if I calculated this correctly. Maybe it's further. Hold on. I did miscalculate this. That's right. Okay. Alrighty. So scratch that. We're getting the beta version of the age of Aquarius even earlier. I knew that. I was like, something doesn't seem right here the way that this is looking. So, oh guys, look at this. Saturn actually officially enters into Aquarius March 21st, 2020. That's when the beta version of this launches. Jupiter and Mars will be on top of each other at 23 degrees, and Pluto will be at 24 degrees of Capricorn, while Saturn is entering into the space. The moon will be in Pisces, as well as Mercury, as well as Neptune. So that's when the beta version really kicks off. What I was talking about, the point that I was talking about in December of next year actually is really important, because that is when that's the final version. The beta version, of course, is a test run, right? So you can think of the beta version of, when I'm trying to frame it as beta version of astrology, think of it as a sign that ingresses into another sign. So for this example, Saturn enters into Aquarius March 21st, 2020, but it's the beta version, right? Then it's going to retrograde back into Capricorn, right? And then when it ingresses back into into Aquarius, that's really when the age of Aquarius really begins. When Pluto enters into Aquarius, that is going to be the first major update to the age of Aquarius. The first major update. So we're going to beta test this age of Aquarius very, very soon. We got about 3 months. We got about 3 months until this moment, guys. Are y'all ready? Shit. I don't think anyone's really ready. It's like if you have a kid. I don't have a kid right now. They're still out in the ethers, waiting for the right time to incarnate. But it's like when you have a kid. There's no way you can really truly prepare for it. Not really. Because if you're prepared in one area, more than likely you're not prepared in another area. So say like you're financially prepared to have a kid. What about mentally and emotionally and spiritually? See, that's the thing though. It's multifaceted. It's multi-fucking faceted. But let's go back to that December date. It was around, let's see, I want to say it was like the 17th or so. December 17th, I believe, was when the Age of Aquarius, what I'm coining as the Age of Aquarius, officially kicking off, is when Saturn enters into Aquarius and will not retrograde back into Capricorn. This, of course, the first 2 weeks of December 2020 will be the last time for a long time where we'll have Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto in Capricorn. Guess who's actually lagging behind during this time? Venus. Venus will not make it to Capricorn by the time that this energy happens. It will not. In fact, if we want to even get technical with it, the energies are pretty much reversed from that date in the 1500s. Because you'll probably have, because Venus will be in Scorpio for the first several weeks of December, while we have Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto in Capricorn. So instead of Venus being in Capricorn, it'll be Jupiter. Jupiter and Venus will be flipped at this time. Essentially, they'll be flipped. It's crazy when you're looking at this, guys. We are literally breaking through. Can you feel it? Can you feel it, guys? We are literally breaking through. This is so intense and crazy. I know I'm going pretty deep here. And I know that it may be hard for you to follow and stuff. As I've said before, I'm just reminding you of stuff that your spirit already knows. But I just want to, if you can just tap into my excitement of this, if you can tap into my awe of this, it's just like focus on that energy itself. You know, it's like you can watch a presentation by someone and you may not know the source material, but just tapping into their joy and excitement of it gets you excited. Think about however you've been inspired by someone. Say someone does something that you don't really know anything about, but there's simply the joy and excitement and their compassion for that source material is enough to entice you. Focus on that right now, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, what the fuck? This is once in a lifetime kind of energy. This is once in multiple lifetimes kind of energy. Because we're not going to get this again, guys. We're not going to get this. We're not going to get this energy. Okay? We're not going to get Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, and Pluto in Capricorn at the same damn time. We're not going to get this. Jupiter officially entered into Capricorn December 2nd. Okay? Venus will exit Capricorn December 20th. We got really 18 days of this energy. And we're not going to experience it again for who knows how the fuck long. Who knows how the fuck long we're going to get this energy. Right? You know what's funny too about this? The moon will be in Libra squaring this energy. From like the 19th. Yeah, the moon will be actually in... Actually, what's interesting is that even though Venus will be in Capricorn, the moon in Libra will actually trine the energy because it's a lot closer to the Aquarius cusp. But the moon will actually be squaring all of this Capricorn energy. We're going to get that in about 2 weeks. You're not going to see this again, guys. So what does all this mean practically? How can you apply this energy? Well, of course, it's advantageous to know where Capricorn lies in your chart. But we can just think about what Capricorn really means, though. Of course, status, I guess you can say wealth, looking towards the future, structure, discipline, trials and tribulations, hard work, dedication, all the shit that humans hate. Because none of us really like this shit. Not really. We'd rather be comforted by the Cancer vibe, right? That's where we all come from. We come from the womb. And then we're like thrown out and spat out into this world, and then we have to make something of ourselves. You know what I'm saying? What's interesting too, of course, Jupiter being a Capricorn, Jupiter doesn't like rather be in Cancer. Venus would probably rather be in Cancer too. And we also have the asteroid Ceres here. An asteroid Ceres in Capricorn. Ceres is the relationship between, guess what, child and mother. So Ceres does not like to be in Capricorn energy. We have quite a bit of energy in Capricorn that makes things very fucking uncomfortable. So this is a very uncomfortable time. And why is that? Because we are coming into this new age and this new way of being. Our society is being reborn. We are in a contraction phase. There are contractions that are going on, which means that we're getting ready to be born into this new world. Chiron's at the beginning of Aries. It's at 1 degree. It will not retrograde back into Pisces. Just saying, guys. Just saying. These are intense energies, but you can make it through. So how do you apply this practically? Well, first of all, you definitely have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive yourself of what's happened before and how you may have not been disciplined. You also have to forgive your future self, because it's not like you're going to just get this 100%. You know what I mean? Saturn definitely likes to test us, And of course, especially, like I said, Saturn, your first Saturn return in many ways, functions as a sort of midterm. Second Saturn return functions as like a final exam. Third Saturn return is just a review of all the material. Because you got to think it's a 29 to 30 year cycle. So if you make your third Saturn return, you're in your late 80s to 90s. You're getting ready to phase out of this existence anyways. You're passing down knowledge at that point. It's almost like you become the teacher, because you took both exams. So for those of you who are getting your Saturn return right now, or about to get your Saturn return like me, we are going into this sort of midterm. And it is an intense time because now we're like cramming. We're cramming. We're up all night. We're studying. We're trying to figure out, oh, fuck, how am I going to pass this midterm and shit? But you still get the final exam. If, of course, you are so blessed to reach it. Because, as we all know, life happens and things happen. But if you happen to make it, that's such a huge fucking blessing. It means that you are meant to take that final exam. If you make it to your Saturn return, your first one, it means you are meant to take that fucking midterm. But I almost feel like we as a society are about to have, I don't feel like it's the midterm. I feel like it's closer to either the final exam or the review, because it's like we're getting ready to transition as a society into a new world. So this isn't really a midterm. The midterm was probably like the 1700s, Actually, no, maybe this is the review, because perhaps that day in the 1500s that I've been talking about, 1519, that was probably the midterm. The last midterm that we as a society have had. The 1700s was probably the final exam. And now, heading into 2020, is the review. Which means that we as a society are getting ready to transition into a whole new world, a whole new society, and a whole new structure. Because we like to think that society has always been this way and will always be this way. But we can craft this world. We can create this world in any imagination that we see fit. It does not have to be this way, I think, but it's so ingrained within every single one of us through lifetimes of experience that life has to be this way. But it simply doesn't. But it seems so revolutionary to think that life doesn't have to be this way. And it's crazy though. Here's the other thing about ages. We just came from the age of Pisces, right? We're heading to the age of Aquarius. This activates our Leo energy as well. Don't think that just because we're in the age of Aquarius that its opposite sign of Leo is not activated. That energy is going to be activated as well. But what you're going to see is that, Aquarius, of course, is the humanitarian, and rather it can be, of course, unique and wanting to help people. But the dark side of Aquarius could be trying to make everybody the same. While we all share energy, of course, and we are all a part of this experience, we're still not all the same. We all have our different journeys and unique paths. But I'm getting images of like the Giver, right? Where everyone's pretty much the same. They pretty much choose what you're going to do from birth. Everyone wears the same clothes, But then you get that Leo energy too, activating. Here's the thing, whenever you get the dark side of a sign, it's the opposite sign that sheds light on it and helps to illuminate the darkness of its opposite sign. So when we go into the age of Aquarius, we're going to, of course, experience the positive side of it, but there's also going to be the dark side of it. How do we alleviate the dark side of the age of Aquarius? By tapping into our Leo energy. We don't have any Leo energy right now, though, guys. The ruler of Leo is in Sagittarius, though, at this time. And when Venus comes into Capricorn, the sun, I believe, will be at 28 degrees of Sagittarius. Meaning, 2 plus 8 equals 10. 10 is the number of manifestation, it's the number of Taurus, it's the number of the Earth, Gaia energy. Meaning that we can create any world that we want. We can manifest any world that we want. But our beliefs have to be strong but malleable. They have to be strong but flexible. You ever met someone who just believed in something so much and it was so out there and crazy that they started to make you believe in it just because they were so passionate about it? And even if you had some anecdotal evidence that maybe their belief doesn't necessarily work, but it does work for them, that's sort of that whole thing. So it's like we have like this collective belief that life has to be a certain way, but it doesn't have to be a certain way. There are an infinite number of possibilities. There really are. How long have I been talking for? 38 minutes. I didn't even know I was talking that long because I was just looking at charts and stuff. I was just pulling up things, and just like when you come onto the Astrology Is Now podcast, we're not just going to be talking about current trends. We're going to be talking about all kinds of different things and bringing it all together. Essentially, what I'm trying to say with this episode is that we are experiencing energies that we have not experienced for a long time, right? So it makes it very rare. It makes it very, very unique. It is something that our spirits, our souls have not experienced for a while. So don't get upset and mad at yourself if you're reacting in a way that maybe isn't of the highest vibration. Work on it. Be aware of it. Allow these things that are coming up within your subconscious. Allow them to, realize them, see them, feel them, and if you really do feel the need to change, allow yourself to change, because we do have the sun in Sagittarius, which is mutable fire, so we have the ability to change. We have the ability to change, right? We don't have any Virgo energy. We don't have any Gemini energy. So a lot of this is happening in other realms, right? In fire and water. We have Neptune energy, sure. We have Sag energy, sure. We don't have any Gemini. We don't have any Virgo. Not yet. The North Node will be coming into Gemini soon. So a lot of this is happening in the subtle realms of reality. This change. And then it'll proliferate and come out and be made aware to us soon. Very soon, actually. Very soon. So because these energies are rare, because some of you guys may have never even experienced this energy because you come from another planet or another realm or galaxy or something like that, it's like riding your bike almost. It's like riding your bike again. You know? It's like you learn how to ride your bike, but then you almost have to like relearn something. And then you get upset because, oh man, I used to be so good at this. Why can't I do this like I used to? You've changed. You've gone through experiences. You've done things. So don't get so down on yourself, beloved. Because there's so much that's happened since then. Since we've had this energy. There's so much that's happened. But you have so much more wisdom now, too. You have so much more wisdom. You are perfectly equipped to handle these energies. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. I love you all so much. I'm going to cap it right there for this episode. I hope that you all enjoyed it. I know we kind of got like a little deep and intense and stuff like that, but I do hope that you gained some type of nugget of gold out of this and that you utilize these energies to the best of your ability. And, you know, don't get too down on yourself if you feel like you're maybe falling short. We're all falling short in some way, shape, or form, in some capacity, but we're all also are expanding and succeeding in some form, shape, or capacity. Gotta roll with the punches here with this one. Gotta roll with the punches. It's all good. We got this. Tough times, of course, but absolutely beautiful times. Absolutely beautiful times. With the current technology, the way that things are, there is so much beauty to be had, so much prosperous opulence to be had right now. Each and every one of our souls and spirits. It's incredible. The opulence, the prosperity, the abundance, the potentiality, the possibilities. It's crazy. I talk about this, I speak in metaphors. I'm like, oh, the possibilities are endless. You can do whatever you want. Yeah, it's going to take some hard fucking work. 2020 is going to be a year of hard fucking work. Why? Because we're beta testing. We are beta testing. We are beta testing this new age. Let's get it. I'm happy to be along the ride with you all. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out my other podcasts. They're timeless. Of course, I talk about transits and stuff like that in those, but I talk about all kinds of other stuff. So check out the Astrology Is Now podcast. I really need to get this up like on SoundCloud or something, but I will eventually get to that. Of course, check out all of my other content on my YouTube channel, Astro Fenixx. Check out me on my social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, and connect with yours truly, Astro Fenixx. I'm running a sale on my website on all of my services up until December 18th. Kind of interesting how it coincided that way. I didn't even know it was going to coincide that way until like I was looking at the transits. Whatever. I just picked a random date and it just happens to coincide with the moment where like right as like Venus is like at the edge of Capricorn coming into Aquarius. So you really don't want to miss this opportunity and this chance. So book a reading with yours truly. We'll connect and I will reveal to you your superpowers that you always knew that you had, but maybe just have forgotten. But of course, when I do these readings, I find my superpowers as well. It's like I'm learning just as much as you, if not more. So anyways, I love you all so much. I'll catch you guys on the next Astrology Is Now podcast. And as always, my beautiful brothers and sisters, always remember to keep moving forward. to stay focused and Yahoo! Smile often. Love y'all. But this is the outro for the Astrology Is Now podcast, hosted by yours truly, Astro Fenixx. I appreciate you all sharing this time and space with me, and I trust that this message resonates with you, and I trust that you have a beautiful rest of your day, evening, wherever you are in the world. Now go out there and be that badass spiritual being that you are and always have been and always will be. Peace!